The business world is changing rapidly, and we are all now suddenly conducting really important business meetings on brand new video platforms like Zoom and FaceTime. Now this is a significant change because for years we've been adapting and improving our body language to project confidence and leadership in a real world face-to-face environment. But now everything's changing so quickly and going online, it's important that as business leaders we adapt to this new technology and we continue to project leadership and presence in online business meetings. Even though we may be doing it from home and it feels strange to be talking to a camera rather than a real person. And that's why in this week's 3-Minute Business Booster, I'm going to give you the 8 body language hints, tips and hacks you need to continue to look like a leader online. It's important you dress properly and look professional even if you're sat at home in your spare bedroom. And this is because if your staff have only ever seen you in a business suit or a particular type of uniform, and then suddenly in an online video meeting you're wearing something completely and radically different and informal, it will make your staff immediately view you differently and start to question if you're a different type of leader online than you are in the physical workspace. Now I'm not saying you need to be sat at home wearing a suit, but you need to be dressed in something similar to your normal appearance so your team are not distracted and immediately understand that this is business as usual. In addition, please don't wear anything with patterns because they can jump around on screen and look very unprofessional and distracting, so solid colours work best. You also need to think about your background because you don't want people fixated and distracted by what's going on behind you and not listening to what you're trying to say or trying to communicate. In contrast though, you also don't want to be stood in front of a blank wall because that can be a bit bland and make it look a bit vacant. So try and pick a backdrop that has some context, but also at the same time something that won't distract people. Spend a few moments before the meeting starts to compose yourself. Try to take some deep breaths to regulate your breathing and visualize what you want from the meeting and also what other attendees are expecting from you. Now this time is really important because in the real world, in face-to-face meetings, we normally get a few minutes to acclimatise and adjust to our new surroundings. But on video calls you can literally be thrown straight into the deep end and you're immediately expected to adjust and adapt and to contribute. So the time you spend at the beginning composing yourself can really pay dividends as the meeting progresses. First impressions are crucial and you need to make a positive first impression and immediately give the impact of leadership. And you can do this by taking control of the meeting. So it should be you who welcomes the attendees and it should be you who sets the rules of the meeting and outlines the aims and objectives. Another tool that you can adopt is to become the timekeeper of the meeting. So if you're seen throughout the meeting to be the person who is managing the time spent on each agenda item and also managing the meeting so that it finishes on time, you will automatically be viewed as the person who's in control. During the meeting, try to sit with good posture. So if you sit facing the screen with shoulders square, head straight and feet flat on the ground, you will look confident, and the bonus is you'll also feel more self-assured. You should also try to control moving around too much or making violent sweeping gestures with your hands. These sudden movements can result in a lag on the video and cause the screen to jump around, again distracting attendees from the messages that you're trying to deliver. You need to become a lot more attentive of your own body language and also that of others. And that's because when you meet people in the real world, you can often see if somebody's nervously tapping their foot or rubbing their hands together. But often in virtual meetings, you can only really see people's head and shoulders upwards. So it's because these clues that we pick up from body language are not there, they're not available online, that people need slightly longer to digest and understand what people are telling them. So you should make an effort to talk slightly slower and leave slightly longer gaps between key messages and statements. In addition, you should also try to articulate as clearly as possible and don't just talk to the distance of the microphone. Obviously don't shout, but pretend the microphone is about 4 foot further away from you than it actually is, so that you don't come across too timid, meek or mild. You need to try to maintain eye contact so that you look attentive and engaged during the meeting, but I admit this can be really difficult to do. And that's because to maintain eye contact you need to be looking directly into your camera. But if at the same time you're talking to a participant who's situated in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, you can end up talking away from the camera. And this can make you look a little shy and even at worst a bit untrustworthy. So try to create a bit of distance between you and the screen so that your eye movements and head tilts are just a bit less visible. Finally, you should try to smile as much as possible. So when you smile, people will normally smile back. And because facial expressions trigger corresponding feelings, it will just improve everybody's mood, reinforce the fact that you're compassionate and approachable, and it will just generally make the meeting environment a lot more positive. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you again next week.